Hello everyone, it's Lillian here, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And my webpage name is Stamper's Niche. So let me just get this set up here. Someday I'll figure out an easier way to do it, but we're going to make it work the way it is. All right, just a couple of bits of information as we're starting. One is that some of you have been asking about my product shares. So I have two going on right now, and you need to register by June the 2nd if you want to take part. One is a designer series paper share. So you get two 6x6 sheets of each of the new designer series papers, and as you know, they are amazing. The new designer series papers, well, they always are, and each time they get a whole lot better. So it's the selection is from pages 148 to 150 up to and including World of Good, but it does not include the In Colors, Brights, Neutrals, Regals, or Subtles. So the cost of that is $37, and if you want part of that, please let me know by June the 2nd, and you can e-transfer, drop off a check or money, whatever way works for you. The second share is new to me, and it's the new In Colors, the 2020 and the 2022 In Colors. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're Bumblebee, Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight. So what this is, it's a 5-month club. Each month you will receive one ink pad. So if, say for example, if it was the Just Jade month, so you would get that ink pad. You would also get the Stampin' Right marker. You would get 8 card bases, 20 enamel dots that are in that color, 2 yards of ribbon in that color, 8 pieces of designer paper in that color, and 1 completed card. And you might get a little extra surprise. So it's $27 a month, and it's a 5-month commitment. If you need it shipped to you, so if you can't do a front door pickup, then we would have to add the shipping on, but otherwise everything is included. So do let me know if you want those two things. One other piece of information just before we get started with today's card. I am so thrilled with how you've been sharing about Stamping Staycation. And remember, each time you share, you get entered into a draw so that you have an opportunity to maybe win your own Stamping Staycation. And the cutoff date is noon on June the 9th. And I will let you know if you were the winner. Let me just see. If you've already paid, you will get reimbursed. So, or you can choose to give it to somebody else, your choice. But each time you share, you get entered for this. Also, each time you share one of my videos or posts, you get entered for the weekly draw, which is a smaller thing. But even if you should even win one of the weekly draws, you also will be in this draw. So that's what that's all about. All right, now let's get down to today's project. Today, I'm working with a piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5, and I've also got a scrap in that as well. So why don't we do the scoring right now before we get for the rest? So you're going to score it at 2.5 and 6 3/4. So I'm going to put these to the side, and you could either bring in your Simply Scored or your paper trimmer. And I'm notorious for scoring at the wrong places, so I'm going to leave that right there. So score it at 2.5. So what I've got here is a half sheet of cardstock. Now I'm going to score it at 2.5. And again at 6 3/4. So I have to put the arm out, 6 3/4. There we go. Just like that. So now we've got that piece ready to go. So that's my 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 2.5 and 6 3/4. Then I have a piece of Whisper White That's 4.5 by 3.25. I have 2 pieces of designer paper. Now they're from the same paper pack, so they go together. You could even have the front and back of one if you wanted. See, I could have done that together. I chose to do this, or I could have done that together. But I'm just using up scraps, so I didn't have enough of either. So one piece is 5.25 by 2.25. That's this one. And then there's 5.25, so they're the same length, by 1.5. And that's this one here. And then I have some scraps of paper of the white and the navy. And then I also have my envelope and some more scraps. So here's the paper that I'm using. It's retiring June 2nd. It won't be available anymore. These are the designs. So that's front and back. It's got the Gulf theme on one side, but on the other side it's basically anything goes. And one side actually is all pictures, so you could use that to make color, to color your pictures. And I had, now I forget what I did with it, so we won't worry about it. And these are the coordinating colors. So basic black, crushed curry, garden green, night of navy, poppy parade, and whisper white. I love how the poppy parade just adds that pop of color in there. So let's get down to making the card. We'll start with this one, and this is going to be a pocket card. So we're going to fold it in this way, making sure the edges get lined up, and we'll burnish that. And then we're going to fold the other one in and burnish that. So now we've got it basically looking like that. Now we're going to bring our designer paper. And this piece does have directions. I don't want my golf clubs upside down. So this piece is going to fit on here. And this piece is going to fit on here. So let's make that happen. All right, so I'll put some adhesive on the back. Like this. And here we go. Put that to the side. Get this, I think I'm going to go like this, just make sure it's right way up. Is that pretty straight? I think it's okay. It'll be okay. It's a my there, that'll do kind of moment. Now again, make sure the golf clubs are right side up. And again, I'm going to do this so it's not so bouncy and maybe a little easier to see. Like that. Now this is what it's going to, until we decorate it, look like from the front. Now we want this to become the pocket, and you can do that one of 2 ways. You can take some tear and tape and run it down here and here, or you can use some of the multi-purpose liquid adhesive. And I'm just going to do that because I can make it even narrower. I'm going to just do a narrow little strip almost on the edge, just a smidge in, so that if it oozes. So I'm going like this. Hold it down for a minute. There's a little trick. I don't need to do it here, but if you're having trouble with wanting to hold something down and need an extra pair of hands, a clothespin is your best friend. There we go. Now we just have to decorate this and do the insert. So let's work on the decoration while this is drying. Let's bring in the Whisper White scraps. Now I have chosen to work with Rooted in Nature. I thought it worked with the golf theme, or the nature-y kind of theme that it is, and I am going to use these words right here. Now I know that I planned ahead, and I am going to use the 2-inch circle punch. What I do is I take sticky notes and punch out my shapes, and then I hang them like on the punches, and then I can go through my stamps and say, well, yes, that would fit. Oh, that's a little too tight, need a bigger punch or die, need a bigger die, that one would fit. So I can go like that, and I've always got it ready to check. And because our catalog shows stamps, most of the stamps, and whoops, put them on right way up. Most of the stamps are 2 size. They're the size, you can go right through the catalog doing that kind of thing. It works like a charm. So I'm going to ink this up with Night of Navy. Am I doing that? Do you know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to bring in, shall I bring in this or that? I think I'll bring in this one. So I'm going to put this in the background. Look at that. I haven't even used this one before, and I've had this stamp set for a few years because I absolutely love it. Now I could stamp it in a lighter color blue, but to keep my tones, I'm going to, actually I could have done it in the pale yellow or the pale green, couldn't I? I am going to switch my plan up. This is creating with you watching me in the process here, and I'm just going to change it up. What I was going to do was just make a lighter shade of the Night of Navy by stamping it off a couple of times. But I think I'm going to stamp the leaf in crushed curry. And I know those of you who know me, you know I kind of like yellow. And I know some of you would prefer to live without it, but that's all right. I stamped it off 1, 2, so it's the 3rd impression I'm using there. Yikes, I got paper everywhere here. Now I'm going to stamp over top of that with my words. Okie dokie. And I'll close that up for now. And I'm going to bring my punch in. Now, because that's a dark ink, it sometimes takes a while to dry, and it looks like I just re-inked that. So, give it a little air dry. And I've got that done. Now, I could add more stamping if I wanted, but I think I'm happy with it that way. What it's going to do now, it's going to rest on here. And I think I want another layer. So that was the 2-inch punch. I'm just going to go grab the 2 1/4-inch punch. Sorry for yelling, but I'm a little far away from the mic. And let's see how that looks. And layer it up a little bit. All right, we're going to do that. Yeah, that looks has more strength and oomph to it. I am going to bring some leaves in too. So let's see. They still think I like this. So we'll glue those 2 together and then move on to the next step. There, like that. Now we're going to put that to the side just for a minute, and I want to show you how I did these leaves. The dies are really neat dies, and some of them are just outlines, and some of them do embossing, like this. So what I'm going to use is this one here, which does the embossing, and this outline. Now you can do it a couple of different ways. You can emboss first, and then cut it out. Look at that. Just because I'm trying to set my big shot up, I suddenly can't talk. Or you can cut out first and then emboss. And what we're going to do right now is I am going to cut out first and then emboss. And let me just see if you can even see what's happening here. There we go. The reason I'm going to cut out first and then emboss is because sometimes when you run it through a second time after embossing, the embossing gets kind of squished down and it's not as sharp and clear as it might be. So we've got the shape now, like that. Now I'm going to put the embossing one on top of the shape, and even if it doesn't line up perfectly, but it tends to do, I haven't had any problem with it, and then run it through again. And then let's get this out of the way so that we aren't causing such a traffic jam on the desk. And now when you take it out, it's got that gorgeous embossing. I don't know if you can see. It's like that. So now let's play around a little bit. Bring the card back in. Now if this is going to rest here, where do I want leaves? Could go like that. I did some beforehand too. Do I want any more? I kind of like it like that. What do you think? 1 or 2 or 3? Sometimes I get just a little too carried away, but I actually don't mind it like that. So let's see. This might look a little awkward, but I do have a method to my madness here, I hope. Let's see, I'm going to slide you in a little bit more. Because this is liquid glue, I know that I can play around a little bit. Oh, and I'm making it very difficult looking when it isn't. Woo, there we go. All right, so I've got my basic shape there. Now I'm going to put dimensionals on the back, but remember, I'm only going to put the dimensionals on the top part, not down here. So how I'm going to make sure of that, this is about where I want it. I'm going to turn it over so that that's about where it is, so I can see that I don't want dimensionals down here. Got organized, got my dimensionals out and forgot where I put them anyway. So I'm going to put one here. Some of my dimensionals are going to overlap the leaves just so that it helps to hold them on as well. Okay, I'm cutting it fine, so I'll have to move that up a little bit. But as I was explaining to my granddaughter this morning, if you make a mistake when you're creating, she was painting and didn't like how something, I said, you just have to turn it into something good. Now I'm just resting at, making sure my dimensionals are hidden. They are, and wipe that little bit of glue off. So there's the front of our card. I could add, I could take a pearl and color it and add that in. I have to think about that, but let's work on the inside. So we have our Whisper White. Let's get our stamps to the side. I'm going to bring that in, and what it's going to do is rest in that pocket like that. So I think I want to put something up there just to catch. You are wonderful. We all love to hear that, right? So we'll go with that, and I used up my block for that other thing, so we'll bring this in. So you are wonderful. Like that. I'm going to stamp it at the top, so that's what you see right away. Boy, that's a juicy pad. Okay, so now I'm having a hard time seeing here where the top ends. I'm going to put this down there. Now I can see where the top of my paper is a whole lot better. White on white just plays havoc. There we go. You are wonderful. Ooh, that's a dark ink pad. And we're going to bring that leaf that we stamped on the front back in again and bring the scrap paper back in. stamp it off a couple of times so it's just very faint. I think I'm going to put them all the way down the side because I'm just having a good time here. There. Alrighty, so we're going to close that up. Now you could do a couple of things. You could bring in the retiring circle tab punch. Now I love this punch. I use it all the time. I've used it to put tabs on my sponges. I've used it to put tabs on my catalogs. I've used it for all kinds of things. And we could put one of those up here. But we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to bring in, if I can pick it up, one more leaf. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to slide this in here. Careful not to touch that blue ink right now because it might smear. And I just want something to it so that they have a way of pulling up. So if we did it like that. So the reason I put it in here is if I put it like that, it's going to catch the fold. So I want to put it at an angle so that it's not catching the fold. I think that would work right there. So keeping that down nice and straight, and like that. So what that, whoops, let it dry, Lillian. That's getting a little ahead of the game, and make sure it's down. All right, so we will come back to that just after it dries for a second. So here's the front of the card. You can see it's very simple. I'm going to add a few embellishments of some sort. I could even do some navy twine. That's from the same packet. I don't know where I put it, but we've got twine that matches the Poppy Parade, the garden green, the navy, and then when you open it up, here it is, and you can use that and pull it out. Of course, you could make this a gift card holder as well. So there's a fun little pocket card for you, and I will post when I decide what embellishments I want to put on. I will post the picture. I want to show you one other one. This is made with the soft sea foam, and again, this is the designer paper that's just retiring right now, so it's two of the designs from it. Use the butterflies and the sequins, and so that's like that. And when you open it up, here's where I use the tab punch, the circle tab punch, and then it just pulls out like that. So just a really cute little card. If you wanted to make it sideways, you could, because then that way it will stand up, and I know that's important to a lot of you, so you could do it that way as well. So there we go, and now just the envelope to finish it off. So as you know, I'm going to put adhesive on the envelope flap. I'll bring this in so that if it oozes out, I'm okay. And think of how the envelope closes and make sure I get the paper on the correct way. You can see I've done more envelopes with this one in the past, and I should have cut that straight because it's not going to work as well. So let's just trim it off. There we go. Thought I was ready. We're looking after the grandchildren today, and so my head is not totally, I wasn't totally as ready as I would like to be, but it's working out. So there we go. And just trim off the excess. And voila, lo and behold, we have the card and the matching envelope. So if you like this card or this idea, give us a thumbs up. don't forget to share to be entered in the draws. And I love, love, love it when you make these cards and share what you make. So take care. Thanks for tuning in, and bye-bye.